Hi, my name is Max. Um, I decided that I'm going to start doing vlogs, and um, I think it will be very interesting, at least for now, to keep it unedited. It's very interesting to note how different the experience of talking to another person versus talking to a camera feels. I thought that it would be worthwhile to start doing this for several reasons. One is because today is a pivotal moment for me. I quit my job and I'm going to try being a professional artist. I don't really know what to call the title of what I'll be doing exactly because I want to do a lot of things. I want to do visual art, I want to do music, um, uh, also this time is I'm reaching a milestone, which is that since March 2nd, I've been posting a piece of art every day onto Instagram, and it's been the most productive 6 months of my life. Um, Also, I think it's very interesting making some sort of documentation from start to finish. I mean, not necessarily start, because theoretically you could say I started becoming an artist when I started guitar when I was 13, I think. So it's not really officially a start, but um, it certainly is a milestone. It's important, at least to me. So it would be interesting seeing, oh, this is the day he became a professional artist. So, yeah, I think it would be useful for that. Also, because if I want to do this professionally, at least in the way that I want to do it, I have to have uh, a presence. I mean, I guess not necessarily, but it's very useful to have like a presence. Like, I am a person who is doing this. I'm a person in the world, and I'm a tangible presence. Um, and it's also useful for building relationships with other people, that oh, they can see I'm this kind of person, at least in a certain context, and I can have these kinds of interactions with him. So, I don't know. Sorry if I didn't. Uh, this certainly wasn't succinct, and hopefully I'll be able to improve my delivery style in the future. But that's just part of progressing as an artist and a professional and as a communicator. So um, I figured now would be a good time to start, because it can always be nerve wracking starting a new thing, and something that I struggled with for a long time. Actually, when I dropped out of music school, I wanted to start all these projects. Actually, even while I was in music school, I wanted to start all of these projects, and I always felt like it had to be this big thing. Like, I want to write an album. I Up until that point, I mean, continuing through today, I've written a lot of music, but I've never written an album, and I always wanted to write an album, write and record an album, and it just, I would start on a song, and I would work on it for like weeks or months, and I would just never get it done because it felt like this huge thing. And so it's the reason why I was able to post for almost 6 months now uh, is that I I made sure to take baby steps, that there's a principle that I think is extremely useful, that it was communicated to me, but only in the very specific context of spiritual self-improvement. And um, I think it should be applied in much more practical ways. So the principle is that there's something about yourself that you want to improve. So you think of the smallest thing that you can think of, and then you cut it in half. And so for me, for the art, is that I decided I would have a post every day, but each post could be whatever I wanted it to be. It could be as small as I wanted it to be. It could be a single letter or a single note, or sorry for clearing my throat so many times. Um, or it could even just be a blank image. So a white picture or a black picture. It could be the most minimal thing you can imagine, something that doesn't even have any tangible artistic value. And so that's what I'm doing now, is that I'm doing the simplest possible thing. I mean, not really simplest possible. I'm sure anyone can imagine something that's theoretically much more simple than trying to do a first vlog. Obviously, it's emotionally difficult because it feels very awkward. I mean, the fact of feeling like I have to present myself in a professional way it's a lot of pressure. But I guess it's simple because I'm deciding to not edit it or anything. I mean, I don't really have an elaborate setup. I'm just recording this on the photo booth app on my on my iMac late 2012 model, and like no recording I mean the built-in microphone on my computer. I'm not going to edit it or anything. I mean, I think that in this case, editing it would probably deprive it of a lot of its charm, that you can look back at something and see this is the way that it actually was, instead of some polished image, like the way that we study history. That did it really happen that way? Did the soldiers feel that way when they were going into battle? I don't know, just not dressing it up in a costume. I mean, I guess theoretically you could say like any presentation of something is some sort of costume, because you only get that angle of the thing. Also, I'm not sure, I don't know what a better strategy is for these kinds of things. Like, should I look at my own image on the computer? Where should I put the screen? Because I'm looking at a box. I'm looking at my own image, and I think it's much more comfortable to look at my own image. I don't know if that's because, like, if you're having a conversation, you look at another person. Maybe it feels like that. Maybe it feels like I have to be conscious of my appearance. Because usually when you're talking to someone, you don't see your appearance while you're talking to them. But before you enter conversation with them, you adjust your appearance, or you make sure, oh, do I have something on my face or whatever. And so it's like you're frozen in that state where you're forced to make sure that you're presenting yourself in a certain way. And so it's a weird situation that I don't hear talked about very much. So should I look into the camera? I guess I don't know if it depends where the camera is placed. Like I don't know. I guess it's kind of irrelevant. But Also, I think it's important to note that something that was never taught to me is that the foundation of good performance is emotional stability. And I'm sure that that doesn't hold true for everything. Uh, Maybe there are certain kinds of performances that are dependent on emotional destruction, but at least what I've found in doing art every day for almost 6 months now, I guess 6 months and a couple weeks, is that and not even just in art, also in jobs that I've had, is that the happier I feel, the better I'm going to do my job. That I'm more enthusiastic about completing whatever task I do in the best way possible. And at the times that I felt most anxious and most depressed, I've made worse art and I've made less of it, and so I figured I should bust out a vlog before I go running, because when I feel upset, I I go for a walk or I go for a run, and um, and that's something that I'm going to try to do a lot of. That during when the pandemic hit, um, and I was just at the time I was living in an apartment with a couple roommates, and when the pandemic hit and I was just in the apartment all the time, it was really terrible because I didn't really have any strategies that I was using to maintain my emotional health. So what I'm doing now is that I go for walks, I go for runs to improve my mood, to do so that I can do the work that I want to do. And also, I'm compiling a list of strategies that I can use for the future. So if I try one thing and it doesn't work, then I can go to plan B or I can go to plan C. And I'm also I'm endeavoring to experiment with new things and do research. Part of my strategy for becoming a professional artist or professional of any kind is that I always want to improve, or I always want to try new things and to innovate. Not necessarily innovate in the broader sense, because I'm sure many people are already familiar with the techniques that I'm trying to find, but innovate for myself. One of the philosophies that has become very important to me is the idea that as a society and as individual institutions, we collectively haven't found the best way of doing things. And throughout my life, a common trend is that people working at some place, or not necessarily in the context of work, but just people in general, think that the way things are is the way is the way that is the best or most practical, or the things that I think are correct. And that type of attitude often creates stagnation, and it often makes things much worse than they would be otherwise. And I'm very much interested in subverting that, at least for myself. So I don't think that the things that I think are the best possible things to think, or the most effective things to think. I'm always looking to change my change my opinions about different things. Um, that is, I mean, I'm sure many people think that way. If people always thought that the way things are the best, then things probably wouldn't change very much, except when prompted by outside circumstances. But I've been a Sam Harris fan for a while, and he communicates that idea very well, that um, from the perspective of an actor in the world, If you want to maximize your outcome, then you want to get rid of the things that are holding you back. And so I agree with that very much, that we all have things that are holding us back. Okay, I've been rambling along for long enough. I can see it's been about 15 minutes. Gonna go for a run. Hopefully I'll have a great day. Hopefully I'll be effective in pursuing my career as a professional artistic, whatever it might be. Okay, have a good one.